All right, welcome artists and welcome guests to today's live cast from the International Art Alliance. I want to thank you for joining us to hear about our project and to see what we're up to. If you have any questions or comments throughout, please type into the comments and we'll do our best to answer you on the air, as we say. Our program today is brought to you by us. We're the International Art Alliance. We're 7 artists from far-flung places around the globe who met up in an artist group during the first year of the pandemic. And we'd enjoyed each other so much that we wanted to deepen and extend our relationships and create something together. So we decided to stay in touch and to create a series of artwork that could stand up to really great distances and really unusual circumstances. So now we're creating the Palimpsest Project. Palimpsest is a manuscript or a document that's been altered through time by adding or removing parts. And we're using the theme of transformation in our project. And each artist, each one of us, will begin art making on a panel, and then we'll physically send it to the next artist, and they'll add their marks and so on until each of us has physically altered the artwork. So it's a new artwork at each stage, and it's a new artwork throughout the entire process. And it results in an artwork that holds the transformational intention that we're putting into each one, and it holds all of that at once. Now, our artists practice in a pretty large variety of styles and media. My name is Ross Berman. I'm in Los Angeles, USA. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, and I make art that's exploring the meaning of life and the divine, and I often use the Hebrew word for life, chai, as my constraint. And I would like to introduce my lovely comrades in arms, my colleagues, Denise Griezmann Pilger, the artist abroad. Now, she lives in Montreal, Canada. She's originally from Amsterdam, Netherlands, and she's called many, many places home in her life. So Denise creates mixed media artwork to evoke the memory and the excitement of these places through her images. She brings a real sense of belonging. And we have Laura Spedetto, originally from Italy, now based in the UK. Laura explores the dynamics of female power in her very modern portraits. Now, her artwork has roots in the past, but these portraits that she paints, they are really thoroughly contemporary and dynamic, and they are striking. And from another side of the world, we have Cheryl Wilcox. She is in the central coast of Australia, and she's painting beautiful coast and bush landscapes or surroundings, her surroundings. And she somehow manages to open a real tangible connection for people with this extraordinary environment. And I'd like also to introduce Rose L. Williams, originally from Montreal, Canada, now in Vancouver, British Columbia. And she's rooted in Trinidad. She has Trinidadian roots. And she creates layered artworks. She's using materials that she sources in British Columbia's vast nature to amplify the human journey of healing and beauty. I'm so privileged to work with all of these wonderful artists. The work is just extraordinary. Julie Brayton in Rhode Island, USA. Now, Julie paints, you can see some of her artwork behind you there too. Julie paints glowing, impressionist, light-filled contemporary landscapes of the coast, seascapes and landscapes. And I think it was when she realized that she couldn't actually live in the ocean because her fingers would get just too puckered. She started to make art about it instead, that was almost as good, and it brought a very similar kind of joy. And last but not least, today's artist who we're focusing on today is Stéphanie McLean. And Stephanie's originally from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and now living in Toronto. So I look at Stephanie's artwork and I'm seeing these rich, evocative paintings. I see Colin the busker, a grandfatherly violinist, Dizzy, Mingus, Ella, portraits both of unknown and iconic performers and musicians. And Stephanie's brushwork seems to transfer the performer's magic to the canvas. And when I look at Stephanie's artwork, I can practically hear the sound. I can imagine the sound and the rhythm of these musical artists, because her paintings, they practically crackle with energy and excitement. And like the music itself, her paintings are combining these rich textures and rhythms and unexpected pops of color. So like the performers who are inspiring them, they seem to explore peace and energy, and maybe foremost, a passion for creating. And well, for me, they really bring me that experience. They bring it right to my heart. So Stephanie, thank you so much for giving us the chance to get to know you and get to know your work a little bit better. And here's my question for you. Would you tell us about your art and your practice and how you've found yourself exploring this really rich subject of performers?
Oh, thank you, Ross. First of all, thank you for that beautiful introduction. I was just kind of getting lost in your words, and what you were saying about everyone, not just about me, but about everyone is really nicely put. And thank you for your kind words about my art. That's really nice. Um, sorry, and now I'm all flustered because I forget the question, but I think it was, tell me about your practice, right? Was that basically it? Okay, and how I came to paint performers and musicians specifically. So my degree is in fine arts, but in music. I was in jazz performance and theory and composition. Basically, I never wanted to graduate ever. I just wanted to keep learning and keep on learning. But after I did graduate, I spent about 5 years being a jazz vocalist with my boyfriend at the time. But before that, I had such a deep respect for music and for musicians, for the work they put into it, both classical, jazz, even pop and rock. But what really speaks to me the most is jazz music. And there's just such a rich history of jazz music. I mean, there's a whole course at the university level, just jazz history, right? All the jazz vocalists, also they just really spoke to me, probably because I was a singer and I'm a musician. That's probably why they spoke to me a lot. And so I guess I came to decide to paint them when I started painting portraits, which is after I was painting sort of florals and more realism. I started painting portraits, and after taking a fabulous course online, and I thought, this is really what speaks to me. This is what I want to do. So I started doing it, and when I would, for example, painting Mingus here, I just finished this guy. I always listen to the music that I'm from the performer that I'm painting. It kind of puts me in the mood. I don't know if I can say I channel their energy, because that would be, calling myself a channeler, which I'm not. But I do feel like, I feel the energy of the music, and I feel like this is the color that should go here. This is the color that should go there. I try to paint loosely. I'm trying to paint more loosely every time I paint. What else can I say? Did I answer the question in a roundabout kind of way?
No, you totally answered it. Yeah,
okay.
That's great.
Okay.
When you're painting Mingus, are you somehow touching his pain? There's so much in that painting.
Oh yeah. You know what? I guess, like, I know that he died of ALS, so that's always in the back of my mind. And I was thinking, actually, as I was painting this, I'm thinking, I wonder if that hurt. Just this actual pose. And I'm wondering if this was taken at a point. So the reference photo, I wonder if it was taken at a point in his life when he was really in pain and really sort of suffering. I'll have to look into that, because I haven't, but I remember asking myself the question several times.
Yeah, because jazz really has a gamut of feelings, right?
Yes.
I wonder how you even begin. How do you begin a painting with jazz? Because, like, I don't even understand jazz. It's just like all over the place, especially if it's cool jazz or bebop. It just sounds kind of like this sound. But, you know, there's probably a logic to it, just like there's a
There
logic
is.
to how you're painting or what you're painting.
There is actually. So for that's funny. I know, and I know that it sounds that way to some, because if anyway, yeah, because if you haven't actually played the music, or I guess, yeah, if you haven't actually played the music, it just sounds like it kind of all goes together, but not sure how, and what is the glue that's holding everything together. Well, so I'm going to go on a little bit of a musical tangent here. So in every jazz standard, there's a set of chord changes. So each chord basically is sort of the foundation of the tune. The progression of the chords is the foundation of the tune. And then on top of that foundation is where the melody kind of bobs and weaves and hits a lot of those chord notes, and hits some that aren't chord notes, that are sort of that notes that could maybe sort of bridge two chords together, et cetera, et cetera. So in improvisation, it's the same idea. It's the chord progression pretty much stays the same, but the melody that goes over it, for example, if it's a sax player, the melody that he or she is playing has to observe those chord changes. Now, often, and what I think is so cool and what adds so much color to jazz, are the notes that are not within the chord changes, that sort of sound a little out, but then that come back in, so that create that sort of that push and pull sort of feeling. And much in the same way as when we paint, we want to use some warm colors and some cool colors, and then we want to use some saturated but not so saturated colors. It's the same sort of push and pull effect. I'm just like, am I answering the question, or am I just rambling on? It's the same sort of push and pull effect. It does mirror jazz in that way.
Oh, thank you. That was amazing. I never understood any part of that before.
I just thought of it.
Oh, that was a great introduction. Did you all know that before?
No.
I did. I studied music too, and that was one of the questions I had for Stephanie. Was, I guess, came from I started in music and then switched to visual arts myself. I played the trombone.
Cool.
And my favorite was stage band, which was jazz oriented.
Yeah.
At that young age, I don't know, I kind of found it more interesting because of the different layers. So maybe I want to ask you about, do you find that when you're translating the music while you're listening into the visual, and are you working in different layers, either technically or conceptually, on your paintings as well?
So yeah, you know what, I am. That's a good question. Basically, my paintings all like with many painters, I start with an underpainting, and then after that is when all the layers start to come on. I start with the darks, and then the midtones, and then the lights, kind of thing, and then I just keep repeating my layers in that way, using different hues of color and different values of each color, depending if it's a highlight or a shadow that I'm painting in. So yeah, it is very similar in that way. And I guess, if we're going to use the music analogy, I guess in a way, the underpainting is like the drawing, and the underpainting could be compared to the chord progression. So the foundation of a piece of music, a jazz standard, for example, and the different colors and layers can maybe be compared to an improvisation. I don't know, I just made that up, but I think it kind of works, right?
Yeah, the highlights would be the melody.
There you go.
Or your focal points. How you actually, the other nice concept is how you could take somebody around your painting, almost like with the spaces. You know how you have the spaces between the notes?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a progression around your paintings, which had that same beat.
Like a phrase?
Rhythm.
Okay.
Well, you know how you
Like
can
a
actually
rhythm.
take, like a rhythm of which is the rhythm, how you could actually have the rhythm of the painting to how quick you can take somebody around your painting or take them to the focal point.
Oh, interesting.
Using your lines and your...
Right.
You could also produce some music or the person's music and sell that with it.
Now you're talking.
And also you could also do teaching. You could also do teaching, and you could also do it with the music, but you could almost from the side of the music, you could market it from that side. So we're painting blah, blah, blah into this, and this is what we're getting. And you could also do it from the art side, if you understand, like the rhythms, or you could actually talk about the rhythms.
In a painting.
Yeah. A rhythm's
Compare
a
them.
really nice word, isn't it? But I mean, that's one of the principles of design, you know.
It
rhythm
is. Well, and they talk about like because I'm doing an exercise, a challenge where I'm sketching every single day and sketching faces. And I'm following along with this one course where the instructor talks about the different rhythms of,
Yes.
you know, of
Yes.
the face and so on and so forth. So yeah, there are a lot of comparisons that can be made for sure.
You're also having some overlap in my world of expressive arts therapy, where we combine different artistic modalities to kind of enhance or stimulate more of a creative sharing or creative activity spark. And you're kind of doing it yourself with the music and the visual, and you're sort of straddling different modalities. And I think it speaks when I look at the painting. I feel that when I'm on the other side of your experience of it, I'm feeling that, especially in the way you do handle the color, because each painting is so unique.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that comes through.
Can I ask you about the size of the canvas that you choose, or
Sure.
I noticed that you have some which are more life size, and then you have your last painting which is over life size.
Oh, well, I'm glad it looks that way.
Okay.
Well, if I were 2 feet tall, this would be life size. So yeah, you're right. It could be life size.
Okay.
It could be, you know. I sometimes feel 2 feet tall, so there's a bit. No, I'm just kidding.
But
No, I
his
don't.
face is life size.
Yes, that's true. His face is actually bigger than mine, so it's
Yeah,
larger.
that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's oversized. That's what I mean. I was
Yeah.
just thinking about how Rembrandt, and if ever I go to an exhibition, anyway, a lot of times people will paint life size. So if you have a look at a Rembrandt painting, for instance, all their work is life size. So if you have a look at a Rembrandt painting, for instance, all their work is.
Ooh, I'm hearing voices.
Have I got mine? I'll
There we
just
go.
turn my phone off.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I you know what? I try to, because I focus on the face, you know, whatever size the canvas is almost as big as the face is going to be. It sort of depends. I pretty much always work from reference photos. So it also depends on, you know, the crop that I want from the photo. And then I kind of choose the canvas, the canvas shape, depending on that. Yeah. I have done some 24s by 36s, which is not as big as I know some of you have painted, but they were actually full bodies. It was a commission that I did of this woman, a young woman, in lingerie, and yeah, it was her whole, well, up to sort of mid thigh, from her head down to mid thigh. So that was the largest painting that I've done.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to get larger though. It's more fun to me anyway, painting larger.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? I get a bit like that too. Yeah.
Do you? Like you want to go bigger?
Yeah, I start, you know, I plan, you know, like Ross, I plan that size, but when I paint.
Yeah, me too. My exactly, mine can be that big, and then for sure. And I find that you know, the bigger I go, the looser I can paint. It's just because you're less constricted, or you have more room to just kind of wave the paintbrush around.
Yeah. Are you using oils, acrylics?
I'm
oils?
using acrylics, but I have started using oils in just in like commissions and stuff like that, because because yeah, I enjoy that buttery texture of the oils, but I like
Mm.
the speed with which acrylics dry. That I really like, because that
Yeah.
allows me to do the layering, right? It's the layering of the different colors. It's a style I think called bold style.
So Stephanie, you're open for commissions now too?
I am. I'm open for commissions.
Open for commissions.
I just finished one, so now I'm open.
Oh, great. About how many commissions do you take a year?
It really depends. I'm rather kind of new at this, Ross. So it depends. It depends. You know, that's a good question. Actually, I should probably set a number of commissions that I do a year to schedule in my paintings. But I try to take like one a month.
Good to know.
Pardon me?
That's
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you said no. And if I can just keep on rambling, I want to go bigger, and I actually want to start painting dancers. I have someone in mind. I have approached her mom to see if I can, you know, photograph her and all that stuff. She's a dancer. She's a beautiful young woman. I actually tutored her in French. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to using more oils for any of the really sort of see-through materials. You know, the like. I think that would be
It's
would work
difficult.
nicely. Pardon me, Lara?
It's difficult. The paint the see-through material.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
it's very challenging.
Especially with acrylics. It's easier with oils, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I ask you one thing that as you told, you were a performer, and then at one point of your life you decide to I don't know if you change your path or maybe you add something or yeah. What I want to ask is when what make you take this decision, and yeah, if it was something like light that you decide, or something that you
Yeah. Okay. So what
during
maybe
the path you change. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like many people, I was home during, you know, when the pandemic first started. So I've been painting on and off probably, well, since I was, you know, I think all kids paint when they're when they're young, so I'm not going to count that. But in university, I was painting a little bit at the beginning, and then when I met my husband, I was just really into painting, and I painted all of our wedding invitations. I was painting flower pots. I was just painting everything. And then, yeah, and then it's sort of, then I got into graphic design more and got, you know, sort of got hired doing that full time. And then fast forward to the pandemic, and then, fast forward to the pandemic. I was at home, and I thought, like, I have to do something. I was going a little stir crazy. So I started doing these mixed media pieces, just sort of small. And I thought, okay, I'm really enjoying this. So I just started doing more. Then I got into doing mosaic art with my friend Becky McVicker, if you're watching, Becky. And then at the same time, though, I was still always painting and just, you know, sort of doing courses online and tutorials online. And then I came onto this course that taught me how to paint in this style. And I thought, okay, no, this is it. I found what I want to do. This is really what I want to explore. And then I just kind of went full in.
So it was a path that guided you in what you're painting
a sinewy
now.
path.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
I love the portrait of your daughter. Is that your daughter there next to you?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Question? Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually.
Mm.
I would love to know, because you use a very bold color palette, and your pieces, the color palettes of your pieces look distinctly different. So I was wondering, do you plan that color palette before you start working? Like, is it your subject or the performance itself that sort of guides that decision?
That's a good question, and the answer is both. It really is. It's sort of I look at the reference photo, I listen to the music, I get out my color wheel, and I just kind of what should it be? What should it be? And then looking at the color wheel, I decide whether it's going to be a double complementary or an analogous color scheme or what it's going to be, and then I just kind of go for it. I mix my color strings. I'm going to show you what my color strings are, what I'm talking about. Because this is what I learned. I'm sorry. Here's a black and white picture of my palette, and I'll tell you why I do this. So this is my color palette. One of them, is it all gonna leak now? I use heavy body paints, but because I spray the inside, I don't want these all to leak down, but this is my color palette. So what I do is I take the tubes of paint of the color the colors that I've chosen for my paintings, and I mix each one with white to varying degrees. So usually to 5, so that it's 5 different values. So here's cadmium yellow. Here's a bit more white added to cadmium yellow, a bit more white, a bit more white, a bit more white. So until it goes to the lightest value that is almost like closest to a white. And I look at the reference photo, and I determine, okay, I can't find the reference photo for this, but I determine, okay, where's the lightest value there? Okay, so like it's up here, right? So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have like 10 choices of color to put there. What I skipped though is that out of all of these tubes of paint, I also mix them together. So for example, cadmium orange, and I think this is a pyrrole red, if I'm not mistaken. Cadmium, yellow, and that's a pyrrole red. So that creates this orange, and then the cadmium yellow and this Prussian blue creates this green. And, and then I just keep on mixing. I'll mix maybe a little bit more yellow with the blue to give it a more of a yellowish green. You get the idea. Anyway, so that's how I paint. I guess you could kind of call it tonal painting. But yeah, that's how I was taught from Bold School. And yeah, so I do. Now I'm having a hard time getting this darn lid back on.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a good question. All good questions.
Julie, did you still have a question for Stephanie?
Got about 2 minutes, but I was kind of curious who you hope to touch with these works.
That's a great question. I hope to touch whoever has a passion for music and jazz, especially, I guess, or whoever has a passion for the subject that I'm painting. I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that the painting speaks to them.
Awesome.
Yeah. So can I ask the group a quick question? Ross, do you mind if I,
Go right ahead.
has anyone received any more paintings? Yay! From whom?
From Cheryl.
Woo! Right on. And are you number 5 on the list?
That's all eluding me today. I'll tell you about that a little later.
No problem. That's fine. I get it. No, I get it.
It was your painting, Stephanie.
Oh, it was mine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. I don't remember what I did. It feels like it's been so long. Yes, the hand. The hand, yeah, the hand that didn't leave much room for everyone else to. All I saw was Julie, the paintbrush that Julie added, and that's all I've seen for that one.
It's a whole new painting now, Stephanie.
Woo! I haven't seen Lara's painting yet, and I haven't seen Ross's. Yeah, and I haven't seen Julie's. No, I haven't seen Julie's.
We still have a lot of work.
So where are they?
I still have, it's Laura was the last, or no, I'm sorry, Rose was the last. Laura began it, so I've worked on it, and then I had to keep, I'm looking at it all the time. It's like, it's not ready. It's not ready. It's almost ready. It needs one more thing on it.
Well, we're ready to say goodbye, I think, soon.
Yeah. 3:30.
So come back and join us next week, friends.
Yes. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Here's-
you,
Thank
Ross.
you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Bye.
Thank
So
you.
good to see
Bye,
everybody. Thank
guys.
you for putting the tech together, guys.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye.
Next
Next
week.
week.
Bye.
Bye.